Ready. Howdy, good morning, guys. We're gonna check out some custom Subarus today. Subaru Forester XT, I built 2016. A lot of different purple things. It's actually my first time making titanium aircore piping, but hey, it holds 35 pounds of boost. Yeah, thanks to Bob's green speed thing, we can't really tune the car anymore, so it's been on the same tune for about 3 years. Now it needs some upgrades. We're gonna do some. We're not gonna refresh the engine, but we're gonna clean up the surge tank that works but just doesn't look the best. We're gonna upgrade to a Haltech, and we're gonna put a double pump fuel system in it. We're also gonna put a bigger ETS 4-inch intercooler in it. When I originally built this titanium intercooler kit, I don't know why, but I bought one. Vibrant universal intercoolers is good for like 550 flywheel, and it's pretty hot from like a first to fourth gear pull. So it goes from like 80 to 150 IATs. So we're gonna fix all that and hopefully send it and see how long this thing lasts. So I actually bought this car in 2015. It's a 2004 Subaru Forester XT factory 5-speed manual, which I'd had a turbo Subaru before, had an STI, but I thought the Foresters were really cool, and so I bought this car from Nebraska knowing it had low compression in cylinder 4. A guy named Chris who just had a basic VF, a full bolt-on setup. The car ran pretty good, but I bought it planning on building a motor. 16, I basically did most of the build that you see today. We did IG 2.5 closed deck, basically rod piston closed deck, GSC S1 cams, stock ports on heads and all that. And originally assembled it with a BorgWarner 7163 EFR, which made a little bit over 500. Spooled up amazing, which is why I originally did it. And then, the power bug gets like, well, it made a little over 500, now I want 550, and then you want 600. And so now it's got a Garrett 3076 GTX Gen 2. Which peaked around $599 on like a Glory dyno run. So this engine's been together for 8 years now. It's been anywhere between 500 and 600 horsepower from that time. It's been beat on a lot. I'm pretty hard on my cars. A few years ago, my friend Jake, basically he's had the car the last year or so. He's put 70,000 miles on it. He brought it back because the water pump started leaking, so we fixed that. We're like, man, this car just really needs some updates. We got a lot of plans. We're not going to do anything with the engine, but we're going to switch the parts out, turn it up, and see if we can't make some more power. So we're about to baseline it just to get a fresh number. The car's never been on this mainline dyno. The last time it was on a dyno was on my Dynamite all-wheel drive chassis down that's now at Long Live Racing, and I made 420-ish, I think, 93 at like 22 pounds. So this mainline reads a lot lower, but we want to get a good baseline before we install some of the new goodies we got. I'm talking about like how much life is left in this engine being 8 years old. I mean, how much life is left in me? Like, if I need to sit down all the time, my back hurts. But, one of the first verses I memorized was Psalm 90. It says, teach us to number our days so we may present to you a heart of wisdom. Good life, we might get 70, 80 years due to good strength. And yet, we're all like the grass that grows up and withers and dies away. And James says we're like a vapor, here today, gone tomorrow. I start to have like this reevaluation at the beginning of every year. It's like, man, how am I doing actually living life? You ask the question like, what's the purpose of life? What does a successful life look at? And, most non-Christians, I think, say like, oh, it's like kind of like the American dream. Happy, have less trial, less pain, less suffering, more success, more health, more fun. And if you ask most Christians, like we would say like the basic Bible answer, like, oh, like I'm here to glorify God. 1 Corinthians 10:31, whatever you eat or drink, whatever you do it all to the glory of God. And that is what the Bible says. Like God says he created us for his glory. He didn't create us because he was lonely. He created us to display his glory and his character throughout all of creation, to make worshipers for himself. And, and start out having like motives, like when I started this company in 2016 and first built this car, it was like, that was my goal, but you get so caught up in the day in and day out of building cars and making money and, running employees and just life. And you kind of get caught up in where your priorities get out of whack. And my priority really became like wanting to be the best tuner and having the best shop. Things that like the world would say, like being successful in cool cars. And I think I kind of got caught up in that America. Even though I you know, if you'd asked me, I said I would believe like I'm here to make disciples and glorify God. I kind of lost that perspective. And thankfully, you know, through some trials and stuff, God humbled me and just kind of reminded me over the last 2 or 3 years. John Piper has been super helpful in that, listening to his sermons on just the purpose of life. He has a really good sermon called "Don't Waste Your Life." I think the sad reality is a lot of us, when we stand before God, whether we stand before God when we're 30, when we're 100, or when we're 3, you know, we're all going to stand before God, and He created us for His glory. That's our purpose. And yet if we don't accomplish that, we're going to stand before Him. He's going to say, you wasted your life. What did you live it for? You lived it for retirement, to go on vacation and collect seashells. And then, oh, wow, you built a really cool, fast Mustang. Like, that's awesome. That impresses God. No. Isaiah 66 says, you know, God sits His butt in the heavens and His feet on the earth. Like, what could you do to impress Him? What impresses is somebody that humbles themselves and trembles at His word and takes it seriously, that, like, my purpose is to glorify Him, is to preach Jesus Christ and Him crucified. If I truly believe that this is just a passing, I'm just an alien and stranger here on this earth, which I do, and heaven is my home, that, you know, I'm not just going to build up an earthly kingdom. I'm going to invest in eternity. I'm going to, you know, try to share the gospel and preach the gospel to every person I see, whether it's handing them a Bible or actually just asking them what they believe about Jesus. That's the purpose. Jesus said to make disciples of all the nations, make worshipers of Him. He is worthy of worship. He is God. We finished up our baseline. We went ahead and did 2 runs back to back so we could get different, you know, heats as far as a cold pull, cold in the sense of letting the car warm up, but then, you know, basically freshly put it on the dyno, no heat soak or anything, and then, you know, basically coming back down to 2,000-3,000 RPM and doing just another pull back to back, and did pretty well. I mean, the car, like I said, it's had some abuse, so the uncorrected mainline numbers are 388, 384-ish, and then DynoGen estimated 454, which is pretty much right in line with the car. Overboosted a little bit, so I think they're a little high, but basically the last time the car was on the dyno 5 years ago. Wow! 5 years ago. 2019. I made 450. So, and then basically on E70, look at that power curve. Yeah, first street car was great. I made 596, but you can see it was, you know, making peak power 62, 6300, then just falling off. We were revving it to like 8, so I mean, it was kind of out of its efficiency. And this car just has S1 cams with unported heads and single GSC valve springs. So as much as we want to rev it out to 8,000 RPM, it's probably not going to make any more power, especially though we're putting a bigger turbo on it. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to see, like, I mean, what the car has done after 5 years.
So I saw this picture. What's going on in this day?
Yeah, so I think, my memory isn't that great, but I think based on the 2019 last dyno runs, we tuned the car and then took it to Street Car Takeover Z-Max in 2019. We did like one pass, 111.5. During the heat of the day, it was like 99 degrees. It was crazy hot there. And the intercore ITs were crazy. And then it cooled down. We went to do a night run and broke an axle. So then we got upgraded axles and drive shafts and stuff like that. Philippians 3, Paul says, whatever things were gained to me, I have counted them as loss for the sake of Christ. I think, you know, I've read that before, but that really just kind of perspective-wise, it's how I live my life over the last 8 years. Like, a lot of things started to become gained, like these became valuable, like having a nice name, having successful people liking me. Now it's like, man, I don't really care. Like, you know, I care much less about what somebody's gonna think about me when I share the gospel now. Right? I used to be, I was a coward, and I cared, like, oh, I might offend that person. They might give me a bad review for talking about Jesus for 20 minutes or whatever. Now Paul says all those things that used to be valuable to me, I mean, they're pretty much nothing. It's worthless. It's rubbish. Now what's valuable to me is making Jesus Christ known, proclaiming Him, and suffering for it. That's the amazing thing. Paul was like, I'm willing to suffer and get beaten up if it means getting to preach the gospel and seeing somebody come to faith, seeing somebody strengthened in the faith, seeing a church grow. Like, I'm willing to suffer for that. Kind of going through life passively. Like, what are you doing for the glory of Jesus Christ? Because as Christians, that's what we are saved for, is to display His glory, to proclaim His glory, to tell others, and to make much of it.
Reverse!
So we're all going to stand before God one day when we die, and he's going to ask us how we spent our life. What are we going to have to show for it? What am I going to have to show for it? You know, nice seashell collection, Pokemon collection, cool car. Like, oh man, you won that no prep race. Makes me really proud. Nice athletic prowess, but I think what God's concerned about, what about the internal impact? You know, that's what all this stuff around us is just passing. What's going to matter is what's going to last for eternity, our souls, either in heaven or in hell. And the glory of Jesus Christ is what's going to be proclaimed throughout heaven for all eternity. Like, if you're going to heaven for eternity, you're just going to worship Jesus. And that sounds awesome to me. I don't know, how it's going to be, but for some people, they're like, ugh, yeah, like, do I really want to go to heaven? Like, I'm just going to worship Jesus? It's just going to be like a church service? I'm just going to church for all eternity? Yeah, that's what the Bible says. And so, like, what are you doing with that now? Like, what eternal impact are you having on the people around you? To know Jesus Christ and make him known. Because time, your life, is the most precious thing that God's given you. We should live it to his glory. Don't waste it. If you have any questions about today's content or Bible study, please reach out to us. You can find us on Facebook, Wretched Racing. You can email us at wretchedracing@gmail.com. If you'd like a Bible or any kind of gospel material, we would love to send it to you for free. We also have t-shirts and hoodies. Thanks for watching.